guys, so I know this isn't a regular upload for my channel, but I was recently given the opportunity to interview my favourite band of all time, Placebo, because they are doing a live TV show tonight at 8 p.m. on youtube.com, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I wanted you to see me achieve a dream that I've literally had for years. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and make sure you check out Placebo's Loud Like Love TV tonight at 8 p.m. Oh! Hey guys, so today I'm here with Placebo. Oh. So, that's it. That's the end of it. Well, thanks so much, guys. I wanted to,
What do you want to know?
well, first off, thank you for letting me be here and talk to you guys today, because this is like a massive opportunity for me, so thank you. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
I want to talk to you about your, well, first off, your album's coming out today, Loud Like Love. And you're also doing a TV show live today from 8 p.m. Loud Like Love TV.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Are you looking forward to that?
I've just started getting a little bit nervous, to be honest. But that's okay.
I mean,
Nerves are good.
I think if we were blasé about it, then we would be probably less fun to spend time with. I think the whole sort of magnitude of the whole thing's just kind of started hitting me. You know,
well, I mean,
there's a lot of really professional people in the building, you know, and it's all kind of running very smoothly, and it all looks real.
Well, I mean, no one, I don't think any band has done anything like this on this scale. Like, I've been in this YouTube building so many times, I've never seen anything of this scale, coming in and seeing all of your equipment everywhere. So, no, it's a really, really massive thing, and you guys should be really excited for it.
Well, you know, I wish that we could actually take some credit for it, but, you know, it's not really...
It's all you!
It's not really our idea, so, you know, we have to...
Don't play yourselves down.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all, and, you know, so, you know, we have to give it to our managers and, you know, the team at Riverman, and they've been working on this thing for like a year. Yeah. So...
when you started writing the album.
It's kind of groundbreaking, I guess, but
it's going to be great.
Yeah, let's go, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you guys are used to playing in front of, like, you know, 10,000, 20,000 people all in the same room. And this is just like, you're basically broadcasting to the same, if not more, people. But I mean, you're in front of cameras. It's going to feel really intimate, I think, for you guys.
Well, I mean, paradoxically, it actually, you know, it feels more scary. The smaller things are. You know, there's a sort of a safety net, you know, of kind of height and distance. You know, when you play kind of a bigger show, so the sort of the microscopic element of this is scary in one way, and if you even let yourself sort of think about, you know, the amount of people that it could actually be reaching, you know, you kind of we might leave the building. Yeah, you know. So.
Well, I mean, when I vlog, I'm talking to a camera. Just that's all I'm talking to. Edit it, upload it, and like 100,000, 200,000 people see it. But I mean, when you see that number on YouTube, it doesn't really sink in that that's how many people have seen your stuff. You're still just talking to a camera, which is why I think, you know, people get so sort of attracted to vloggers and personalities, because they think, you know, it's very personal, when really it's not as intimate as it seems, you know.
So how did you get started then?
Oh, they're going to turn the interview around on me now. Oh God.
I mean, what? Because I've never really done it.
You can be an interviewer now. It's fine.
Well, no. I'm genuinely interested. So it's just kind of like one day you think, did you do it for your mates first, or like what? You know, what sort of? What's the impetus to sort of start talking straight to camera?
No, I just started seeing other people doing it, and I thought, you know, this is quite a strange hobby. And then I realised it was actually their jobs, and they got paid for it. And I thought, this is insane. I want to have a go at this sort of thing. So I started off talking about the book 50 Shades of Grey on my channel and reading that, and don't. And it just grew from there.
No, I haven't.
No, okay.
My flatmate got it on audio tape though, and he actually.
Really?
Yeah, he listened to it. Yeah.
But,
I wonder how many people do that on a plane, on an airplane.
What?
Because listen to 50 Shades of Grey audio tape.
Yeah.
Because atmospheric pressure, I think you notice how you know, sort of being in a pressurized metal tube, how it has an effect on certain parts of your anatomy. Yeah. You know.
Uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
we're talking about boners on my channel.
That's when the blanket comes in very handy.
I want to talk to you quickly about the album itself. You guys recorded it at Rack Studios in London, which, Brian, you recorded Meds in a few years prior. What is it about Rack that made you come back, you know?
Well, a lot of things, but I mean, the one thing about it is that it's not posh. You know, it's really kind of workmanlike, and you know, it's got a tiny sort of front room where you sort of watch sky and just sort of like eat takeaway, and there's no leather sofas. It's not sort of so it doesn't sort of reek of money like a lot of the kind of the big studios. There's not really any distractions. It hasn't changed much since the 70s. And
Really?
no, it's just it feels like it's just a really kind of workman-like environment, you know, and it just brings out, you know, a good work ethic.
It does.
That's good.
Yeah, the live room is just like as soon as you walk in, you can feel it when you walk in that live room. You're like, it's got this sort of vibe about it. You know, a lot of great music's been recorded there, like over the years.
It's really good. I mean, I played the Half Moon in Putney a couple of weeks back, and it was great because like I walked in and then they were like, oh yeah, the U2 have played here and the Rolling Stones and the Who. I was like, and now you're getting me to play here? Seems like sort of like high expectations, and then you think, oh, I've got a lot to live up to, you know. So it must be nice to like see how many people have recorded at Rack, and you know, because you guys went with Dave Bottrell for Battle for the Sun,
Yeah.
didn't you? And then you wanted to stay a bit closer to home, I suppose, this new one, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really helps being able to go back to your own bed at the you know at the end of you know,
You didn't
of a
feel
hard
like you were on
day's
holiday.
work. Yeah, I mean, look, sort of making a record and living out of a hotel is it is strange, you know. You sort of, and I mean, it just sort of it repeats something that happens to you when you're on tour, which is all of your kind of creature comforts are kind of taken away, no matter how posh the place is, and no matter how many butlers there are, you know, knocking on your door every 15 minutes, which I find really embarrassing, by the way. You know, you can't do your own laundry. You know, you can't sort of make your own food, and
wash
you
your own clothes.
you sort of rely on other people so much. And so making a record out of, you know, what in a sort of a tour-like environment, you know, leads on to kind of, I think, a series of sort of small identity crises, which you certainly had, and I had during the making of Battle for the Sun. I mean, I think every record needs a really good identity crisis, and a little, you know, everybody should have like at least one breakdown while they're making a record.
Builds character.
Too Many Friends, the single from Now Like Love. It focuses more on sort of social networks and how people, you know, the internet is such a big part of our daily lives. I mean, you're sitting here on YouTube right now. I want to talk to you specifically about how do you feel like the internet has really, really changed the way that people access music now in terms of discovering new bands and even obtaining music, whether it's legally or illegally? I mean, Brian, you've been in the industry nearly 20 years now. Don't want to make you feel like a bit
Like
old,
an old
but
man, yeah. You know.
and things must have changed so much, going from cassettes and
Yeah,
buying CDs at a record store,
grew up
you
with
know.
cassettes. They were sort of really nice and cute and
I miss them.
boutique and
I miss
you
when they
know,
used to stretch. And it's sort of, you have that slow.
Yeah, you get a bit of wow and
and it goes
flutter,
like that.
and you know, you used to have to get like they get eaten by your machine. You have to get
You
a
have to wind them up
a
and-
pencil
yeah.
out, but you know, like
Oh.
it couldn't be a round cylindrical tube like pencil. It needs to have edges.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
a bit.
kind of thing. It was
Yeah.
kind of oh god. Oh, I'm getting all nostalgic
Oh, no,
now.
don't break down
and you
now.
know, it's thanks to a cassette. You know, I sort of discovered I could sing. I had the first Violent Femmes album on cassette, and I was coming back from the supermarket with my mom. I was about 13, and put it in the car stereo, and started singing along, and thought, well, I actually, you know, I think I don't sound too different from this guy. Then there was the switch to CD, and I remember the first CD I got was, I think it was Meat is Murder by the Smiths, and I remember thinking it was indestructible, you know, and I sort of threw it across the room, and it scratched, and it didn't play very well after that, you know, and it was kind of like that at the beginning for us. I mean, we signed a record deal before sort of the internet became popular,
Yeah.
so when it did, we were like, yeah, it's not mentioned in our contract, you know, and so nothing really changed that much, I guess, up until, you know.
Like downloads and things like that,
yeah.
you know, like the way that people discover music now, it's not so much reviews in magazines anymore, it's more sort of, you know, finding there's websites that give you similar artists, and of course you have things like Spotify, which, I mean, you know, some people have different opinions on, but I mean, it helps you. There are different ways now of discovering and even obtaining music, you know. You know,
I
I've
mean,
seen
then
it
people
change,
sort of
you
like,
know?
you know, they compile a playlist and then they'll share it on their social network kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's probably the most.
Do you think it's a good change? No.
Well, I don't know. I really don't know because it's so quick. You know, what I do know is that it's just kind of happening, and so you know, you just have to kind of adjust. There's no point in sort of getting your knickers in a twist over something that's, you know, a reality. So
Just embrace it
yeah,
and
you know,
accept it.
as much as you can. I mean, it takes me, I think, a little bit longer because technology has changed so much. You know, that to adjust to things. You know, I'm still adjusting.
I mean, I think my first cassette was Smurfs Christmas, you know, compilation, and I certainly couldn't sing along to that. But I mean, going from Walkmans and things like that and CD players, suddenly like these mini disc things that last about 2 weeks, to suddenly, you know, you can go on iTunes and just click of a button, you have a new song to listen to. And,
Do you remember your Discman when you first joined the band?
Yeah,
You had a
yeah.
disc, man.
I totally did. Yeah.
In
Kind of my
2008.
Yeah, Case Logic. But it came in handy because like we'd be on tour and we'd be like in these sort of like these vans sort of taking us to and from venues or hotels or whatever. If it was a long enough trip, we'd be like, oh, Steve, you bring your CDs so that we can at least have some music on the go. But yeah, it's long gone now. Yeah, it took ages for me to kind of come to the digital world, those sort of things, of MP3 world and stuff like that.
Just one more question about Loud Like Love, which I've heard. I think it's fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
When I was listening to it, to me it felt like every track was almost sort of really loosely based around relationships and the theme of love, which I assume is like, you know, why it's Loud Like Love. I was getting these sort of, you get like this like positive, negative vibes from love, like love can be seen as a strength and love is also a weakness, and talking about things like addiction in the album. Like, when you stepped into the studios, did you already have this idea that you wanted every song to be based around love, or was it more of a sort of organic kind of, these are the songs I've got in my head?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the process itself is when it's about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the process that you actually sort of realize what you're writing about. And I mean, I've never written a song, never sat down and decided on the subject of the song first, and certainly never decided to write an album with a unifying theme. That became apparent as it was happening. So, you know, the process is probably the most important thing, and is the inspiration itself, because I think if you follow where you're being taken kind of instinctively, then you actually sort of discover what is really on your mind. It's like your subconscious is speaking to you through your expression, you know, and I find that a lot more truthful. And then it's up to you to sort of, I think, you know, have the courage of staying with where your instinct is taking you, which, you know, means that you need a certain amount of vulnerability, or whether or not you're going to intellectualize and steer it off in a direction where you think it should be. And invariably, I think when we've done that in the past, there's been a certain feeling of artifice involved, and I just think that that's not present at all on this record, because I think we've allowed ourselves to be the most vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, some of the lyrics I've heard on A Million Little Pieces and Hold On To Me, they seem very personal. I mean, we spoke earlier about building a sort of character up and writing in the sense of a character, but it felt like the album did feel very vulnerable. If you know, that is a word that I would use to describe it. It did feel very personal and sort of. Did you find that when you wrote those songs, you look back and you thought, oh wow, I wrote a song about, you know, this or that, or?
Well, yeah, totally. But I mean, it's paradoxical, because the more you choose to go down a confessional, you know, road in terms of songwriting, the more self-conscious you get. So paradoxically, you sort of create this device which is sort of writing a fiction, and then through that you're able to be more honest. And I think I've become more adept at you know, at creating these small fictions that work, and it's through that I'm able to, you know, lay myself even barer than I have in the past. You know?
Lovely. Just one last question before I'll let you guys go and rehearse. I released my first EP in July this year, and it did, you know, I'm really happy with how it went and things. I'm playing gigs and I'm all over the place at the minute. As people that have been in this music industry now, and you've seen so many things and you've traveled the world, what advice? It's very, very simple. What few nuggets of advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in this day and age?
Well, just don't try and second guess what's gonna, be popular and be fashionable. Just do what gives you a hard on.
Yeah.
That's just it. It has to be the thing that makes you wet. Otherwise, there's just no point.
Yeah.
That's probably the best bit of advice I've ever had in my life. Thank you. But no, thank you very much for joining me
Oh,
today.
thanks.
And,
Thank you.
Hopefully for my first ever interview, that was okay.
Woohoo!
Yay!
That was great.
We
Thanks.
did it. So thank you so much for joining me, and good luck with how it goes. I will be watching. Very
Okay.
closely.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll be fine. It'll be
Yeah.
good.
It'll be all right on the night. Yeah.
Yeah.